to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Laura, you want to do roll call, please?
Kevin Scramlin,
Yes.
Janelle Keller,
Yes.
Teresa Bells.
Yes.
Approval of today's agenda.
I will make a motion that we approve the agenda of 12/18/24 as presented.
I will support that.
Vote.
Supposed to say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, you ready?
I know, but you just gotta do it.
Any opposed? Are you happy?
Yes.
New business. So obviously, the first is to discuss the Board of Trustees vacancy. I'd just like to take a minute. I didn't get a chance to work with Gina, but I would like to thank Gina for her service. I know she was very well respected in the township and did a lot of great things for our township. So I would just like to say that. Would either one of you have a comment on that?
Oh, I agree, she will be very, very missed. Gina, we will miss you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Gina was great to work with, and I enjoyed sitting next to Gina. So yeah, well, I was saddened to get that resignation.
Sure.
me too.
So,
Me too.
but I do understand.
Yep.
So,
Well, moving on, I guess the first part of that business is that I would entertain a motion to accept Gina's resignation.
So moved. I will be happy to do so. Motion to accept her resignation effective Wednesday, December 11th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. So the second part of that math problem is we need to decide on the formula of how we are going to get Gina's replacement. Obviously, she sent the letter in December 11th, effective immediately. By law, we have 45 days, so that would put us to January 25th. Our board meeting is January 13th. So, in my opinion, what I would like to do is open it up, have resumes sent in by anyone who is interested. The day we come back would be January 6th. I guess we should have them in by noon or sometime that
Yep.
morning.
would
At
be
that point, we can go through them and pick out some of the resumes we like and interview those people. I know it's gonna be expedited, but I really would like to have a recommendation to go to that January 13th board meeting.
You know that I agree, because if we don't, then I have to have an election.
Yeah, we want to avoid another election.
We would prefer not
That
to
would
do
be
that.
costly, and,
See, I thought you wanted.
I'm not really interested in that right now, although happy to do it for the community if that's what
Janelle's
everyone
trying to
decides.
I think Janelle's trying to go through 2025 without an
I
election.
would love that. It'd be my first year
Well,
here
I don't
without
want you to
one.
be out of practice.
Yeah. I also agree. I think that's great. The 6th would be perfect.
Yeah, I am open though to any other ideas or comments.
So if we did that and we had resumes due here by, what'd you say, noon on the 6th,
That's just a proposal, whatever.
that would be fine. The idea being then we could sit down and look through those and then maybe
Absolutely.
make some calls, call some people in for some interviews, which would then have to take place that same week.
That same week.
Correct, so that
Yes.
we could come to a consensus, and then that person's name would be brought to the board meeting on the 13th of January where we would vote on it.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if we don't do that, then we're gonna end up having another special meeting before the 25th to do that, and I would just as soon avoid that.
Right,
To be honest.
right. How are we going to get this notice out? How are we gonna let people know?
I mean, obviously, it's gonna go in the paper. It needs to be on a sign, Facebook,
Yeah,
our
I will make sure
township
that-
website,
Just
I'm
like
sorry,
we do with any other position. I'll
our
make sure
our
that that's
township
on.
website.
Mhm.
Okay,
I think.
so we
it's
will
best.
advertise it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
certainly.
I figured we would, I
Are
just
we gonna,
wanted to make sure.
if we do that, are we gonna run it 2 weeks?
I think 2 weeks would be good if possible.
I'll P1 it for you if you want.
That'd be
Okay.
great.
At the bottom, I
That would be
have a
fantastic.
mug and everything.
That would be awesome.
That's the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think
No,
that would be
I think we should run it 2 weeks.
I agree, I agree.
Mhm.
Especially with the holidays coming,
Yeah, exactly,
we wanna get as much exposure to that as possible.
sure.
Um,
Would anyone like to make a motion on that?
Since we're gonna be spending money on advertising, or do we?
Well, and opening, I mean, we are voting to open the position,
Yeah.
to
I was
post
gonna
it, so
say.
by law, we are not required to do that. We actually do have the option of just appointing someone if there was someone who had come in with interest, but, I do think that because we are making that decision, it would be good to motion and approve.
Do you wanna make that motion?
Sure. I would motion that we post the township trustee vacancy, have it run in the newspaper, obviously also I'll make sure that it's circulated elsewhere for 2 weeks, with the application submission being noon on Monday, January 6th. And I think that's all I need.
With the intention of us, well, I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, that won't matter.
Okay.
As long as, we just need to get the applications in, and then the rest of that is all internal.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Oh, yeah,
Beautiful.
perfect.
Okay.
Second item of business is to discuss the consent judgment with Drake Enterprises. Obviously, this is something that has drug on for 3 years or
Yeah,
something like that.
2021.
Anyway, so we have a consent judgment. I take it everybody's had time to read it.
Yep.
We just need to accept it and authorize me to sign it so
Correct.
that we can be done with that.
And Drake Enterprises, for anybody who doesn't know, that is the old KOA property,
Yes.
the pond situation.
So, just so we're clear, so everybody knows, that this is, agreeing that they should not have dug that pond, and they're going to put it back, and they're going to pay us back for legal fees incurred.
No,
I
I
do
do
not
not
read
see
any, no, I did not see that in there either.
Okay.
I think that was the original intention when they were
What
going
I
to
see
take it
in
to
that
trial.
settlement, in my opinion, is they are going to bring an engineer in, and the pond is not necessarily gonna be closed or moved, but it is going to be built to specifications.
Okay.
That obviously our planning commission and everybody else agrees with.
Okay, because my understanding was it was too close to the Georgia carpet,
Yeah, and like I say, I'm not sure if they're gonna move it a little bit or whatever,
Okay.
but they're not gonna close it all back in.
Okay.
They're basically gonna build it the way
Okay.
they should have built it the
Yep,
first time.
yep, which is what we really wanted.
Right,
Yep.
with the required site plan. that was
Sure.
the-
Okay.
All right. Anything else
So-
on that? Is everybody good with it?
Yeah, I think the original intent, just because you'd asked that,
Yeah.
was that if it went to court, he was going to be asking for, repayment of any legal fees that had been incurred over the last few years, and engineer fees, because we'd had a lot of experience over there, but because they ended up with this potential settlement, they didn't get to the fee.
Didn't get to the fee part.
Thank you.
All right,
It's my understanding.
Okay,
sure.
well, then, I'll attempt to make this motion. So I will make a motion that we accept the consent judgment, for Groveland Township versus Drake Enterprises LLC, and we designate Kevin Scramlin as the supervisor who will be signing the consent agreement, or the consent judgment.
I support that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Item C is to discuss employee policy manual and considerations. I know a lot of this stems from the law that is going to go into effect February 21st.
Yes.
Is that correct? With the sick pay, I should
Yes.
say. So with that being said, Janelle, personnel is your,
So the biggest thing is I would love to have a window of, something to spend, though I don't know what this is going to cost. I know back in 2019, 2020, when the whole board looked at the overall creation and review of the handbook. It was somewhere around $4,000 with the initial one, but again, I think that was initial creation.
Sure.
And then another payment was somewhere around 2020, early 2020 was about $1,400. I don't anticipate it would be anything like that, but I do foresee that there will be some costs associated with the modifications that we will need. So really two things that I wanted to approach is approval for some type of monetary allocation specifically for modifications to the handbook. I have no idea what this could cost, but I was ballparking maybe $1,000, $1,200 or more of an in case. There's a possibility that we won't make any progress on this until after our next board meeting, but with the potential that something could happen before then, I was hoping that I could just have that approval. And then I have a second request to go specifically along with that. But I'm curious of your positions or insight on that first request.
I'm totally for it. I mean, February 21st will be here before we know it.
Yes, and we have
So-
talked about making some changes in the policy
Yeah.
manual anyway. We know that there are some things that need to be addressed. So it would
So
be a
if
nice
you have to
thing
bring in a human resource company or something like that to get some advice or work on that book, I see no reason not to.
Yeah, especially since with these new mandates, there's language is important,
Yes.
intent is important. There's a lot there, and so although you are the goat,
I don't want to be the goat on this, but it falls on my shoulders.
Right, I think it would be good to bring in an outside
Yeah.
company just because that's what they specialize in. We can't know everything on the local level, so I would be supportive of that as well.
Okay.
I would make a motion that we allocate $1,500 for human resource. If you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't.
Perfect.
I will support that.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Well, do we
Or do you
have to
wanna
say
roll?
where it's gonna come from?
Yeah. That's a great question. Probably from, we have a lot of additional funding right now sitting in contractual obligations. So we will take the money from there and I will allocate it somewhere in our HR personnel.
Does that need to be in the motion?
It should be,
Okay.
it should be.
Well then,
So to be specified, if you guys are comfortable with that. Take the money out of the contractual GL number, because that is where we have additional funding. However, if you're comfortable with this motion, if I can see a line item that would be more appropriate for HR or personnel,
sure.
then I'll take it from there. It may just be employee, like
Okay.
employee pay.
Money, we need a roll call vote? Okay. Laura, you mind taking a roll call vote on that?
Yep, Janelle Keller,
Yes,
Teresa Bills,
Yes,
Kevin Scramlin.
Yes. And then you said you had a second part?
I do have a second question because, and again, some of the, I may not get very far before our next board meeting, but this is helpful in case we do. We have two positions currently at the we actually have a chunk of them that are questionable with how we're going to look at these moving forward. So our inspectors, building inspector, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, those are all currently, they're paid by inspection. And we have records of when they, go to each of these houses, but from an hourly standpoint, we will have to, and I'm not quite ready for that right now. Again, I'd like to speak with some professionals, HR attorneys, but we would have to come up with some type of a formula or explanation to explain what we suspect their hours are. Theirs, I think, will be not too difficult to do because we have records to indicate what's the number of inspections that they're doing a month. And again, where all this is coming from, like you said, is in February, this Paid Sick Time Act, February 21st, will mandate that we, for every eligible employee, which is most of our employees, we have to calculate 1 paid hour of sick time for every 30 hours that they work. So this counts for even our part-time firefighters, this is going to be our election inspectors, it is for everybody. Now, a lot of those individuals may not accumulate as many hours, it may take them a long time to accrue that paid sick time. But our inspectors probably are going to be eligible a little bit earlier, so we need to come up with some sort of a calculation for them. But the two positions that really we are kind of in an interesting position, because they used to be contracted and now they are paid as an employee, is our cable manager and our ordinance officer. And both of them are currently, they really are paid salary, but we don't have any definitive parameters on either one of those positions right now, nor do we have an hourly accountability for either one of them. We could probably pull some with our ordinance officer from any, complaints or court cases, so we would have definitive, a little bit more, but even that is not ideal. So truthfully, as of like today, and this is coming from an HR professional that I spoke with today.
Sure.
They both need to be submitting hourly timesheets, like yesterday.
And that's to meet with the
That
IRS
is for,
requirements?
yes, that is for the FLSA requirements. We have to know what hours they're working, and it's actually for their benefit for overtime. So we need to I will be approaching both of them and saying, I need to know your hours. What are you working, what are you doing, kind of thing. So that being said, with this same question or situation, moving forward, I need to have an idea of how many hours they are working so that we, again, can accrue, we know what they're accruing for paid sick time. So I need to know if we want to continue paying them salaried, if we want to move to an hourly pay, because all of this is going to come up as we modify this part of our handbook, is how do they qualify? And even, again, the HR professional that I spoke with today, I also spoke with an attorney today specifically about these two roles, and both of them said, oh my gosh, no, you've got to document the hours. So, I need some ideas here of how you'd like me, if I do start working on this, how do we want to approach those two positions?
Do you want answers from us right now, or do you want us to just be thinking about this?
I'd like at least initial ideas, because
Well, obviously, I don't have to tell you, first gonna be make contact with both of them.
yes,
and throw
either
it back
way,
on them.
I need the hourly. But if we have any ideas of if we want to look at a different direction, then it would just be helpful for me now, if I start talking to these companies, that we can make some of those adjustments in the policy manual. If not, it's okay, we can leave it as is right now. Either way, they need to start submitting timesheets. That's a requirement that we should be doing.
I guess for me, I'd like to see their timesheets for a month or two.
Sure.
And see where we're at
Yeah.
that way, as far as what they're being compensated.
I think that's fair. It also might give us a little bit of an idea for, it will give us an idea for how many, what are they being paid, what does that average out to per hour, and then that accrual is in there as well.
Sure.
I know cable manager is kind of a unique position. I don't know that we really have a lot of surrounding communities that have a similar, like what we have. I did look into some ordinance though, so we can entertain that after we look at their timesheets if
Yeah.
we wanna do that. And everybody seems to kind of do it a little bit differently.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I think going forward, like you say, get them started on the timesheets
See where we're at.
and see where we're at, so
Yeah.
that we have an idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, we wanna be fair to everybody, but we need to be
Right.
educated as to where we're at.
So, I will tell you, the latest I would be able to make any type of decision here with this, or that we would, is really probably our February meeting. Again, just because that time starts accruing February 21st. So we have to know average hours, average monies, per hour. We really would need to know all of that. We would have to make that decision at that February meeting.
Okay.
So we won't have a whole lot of a window to collect timesheets.
No, you'll have a month.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
6 weeks, something like that.
Well, and also, we have to look at our budget for the next fiscal year. And those are tricky positions as far as, like, even with the inspectors, you know, and what we're paying them. If you drop the pay too much, they don't wanna do it. But also giving them a certain amount, whether they're doing anything or not, is also like, you know, we need to look at that as well.
Well, yeah, I stay responsible. We don't
Right.
wanna do that.
Right, I mean, so I guess what, I like Kevin's idea of, you know, let's take a look at their timesheets first, and, what specific things they're doing
Sure.
before we can make that
Absolutely.
call.
But no, I realize what you're saying, Janelle, just on a time-wise,
Yeah.
Right.
we've gotta.
Yeah, we have to know, and it may be before the budget meeting, I don't know, I know we kinda talked about maybe an idea. But we will need to know approximately how many hours they're working. And
Sure.
we'll need to know that rate as well, because the paid sick time is, well, if they're only working 1 hour a month, then whatever pay they're getting, that's what they're getting for paid sick time.
So
Yeah.
once they've accumulated 30 hours, then that's it. They
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah, but still,
Well,
you
after
know?
we see their timesheets, we'll have a better idea.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's over the holidays, so we might not
Yeah,
get a whole lot of information before February, but.
I know, I thought of that when you said the time,
Mhm.
so, alright. Well, I
And
think
it's
that's-
also just a snapshot of January to,
Yeah,
you know,
Well, and that's kind of why I was asking if you had any like initial opinions or ideas, because we don't have a lot of time. And as I start working with these companies, I'll probably need to know a general idea.
okay.
And I will be talking to them before February. So,
yeah, it's just, it's a conundrum for us. I don't know that I have any other brainstorming ideas of what to do differently. I mean, we wanna retain our quality people, but we also need to be fiscally responsible, so.
yeah. Well, and it's not necessarily that any of that is going to change. You know, I'm not saying we're changing any personnel or anything, but we have to make sure that we are keeping track of when are they working and what are they doing.
Right.
So, that's all it is. It's not necessarily any adjustment. It may just simply, personally, my suggestion would be for us to really entertain an hourly pay. It would also be extremely much more effective and helpful for me to keep track of their accrual. A lot of other communities, specifically for ordinance, they do it already. Springfield does it. Now Holly and Brandon both do salary, but they also have somebody who's coming in and working in the office. Addison does hourly as well, so I only spoke with those 4. I do think hourly would be a lot easier for us to keep track of. And I do also think it would be a little bit more financially responsible for the board, personally. But I know that historically we haven't done that, so, but I'm open to pursuing whatever we want. And I can approach it again in January. Again, we just will only have a couple weeks and it'll be over the holidays to look at their timesheets.
That's all right though. I mean, a couple weeks of timesheets is better than 0.
Yeah,
I'm with you on the hourly wage, I like that. I think it's the fairest way for everybody.
okay.
But hopefully if Jim shows up in January,
I don't know. We're missing you, Jim.
and whoever our new trustee is
Yeah,
at that point,
maybe have some other discussions.
yeah, and get better direction, but obviously touch on the human resource company if you need to,
Yeah,
and get them guys filling out timesheets.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely we'll have to move in that direction for sure, so.
All right.
All right, that's all I have.
You good?
That's all, yep, I just wanted to kind of have that in case we had any idea of if we wanted to do
Sure.
anything different, but for now, it sounds like we'll just leave it and talk about it in June.
Well, we've got a full house. Is there any public comment?
I apologize, I was 5 minutes late, so I missed though. Is Gina stepping down?
Yes, Gina resigned on December 11th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So did you catch any of that conversation?
No, I did not, I apologize.
So we decided we are going to open it up and take resumes,
Okay,
and they have to be turned in by January 6th at noon.
okay,
And then that week, we're gonna go through them and interview a few people and hopefully have someone that we can, bring to the board in January for approval.
okay.
All right?
Hopefully it wasn't for medical reasons or health reasons that she stepped down.
She did not specify.
She
Okay.
That's better.
Fair enough, thanks. No, for business, right? Yep, got it.
Anybody else?
So the posting, just to close the loop, that'll be posted in the, I heard the citizen part of this.
It'll be in the citizens.
Okay.
Yep, you got it.
And hopefully you'll also see it circulating many social media sites, but
So will she then, complete Gina's term then until 28?
26.
that is a great question, yes, so it is
So
actually.
the first would have been 4 years, is that
Yes.
correct?
Correct. Because it is a vacancy so early, it actually only goes through 2026.
Okay.
And then she then goes on the ballot, Gina's not here. And then that position would be on the ballot in 2026.
In the primary then?
The gubernatorial, is when that one shows up, I believe.
And so then she would, if she wins, then she'll win the general election in November of.
Yes.
November 2026.
Yep.
Greetings, everyone.
Just
Hi.
time to adjourn.
I know, I had, no,
4 o'clock.
I had 4:30. Okay. Great.
You can read it in the paper.
So this is filling the vacancy for the balance of the term then?
Like
It's
it's
filling
2
the
years.
vacancy until, from January 13th, hopefully, until, till they have to run for the completion. So, since the vacancy happened prior to the filing deadline of the 2026 election,
Okay.
that whoever gets selected to be appointed will be serving for all of 2025 and 2026 until, like, if they so choose to continue into 27, 28, they would have to run on the ballot in 26.
Okay.
Got
it. Excuse me.
Jim, do you have any public comment?
Welcome.
Did we offer any possible nominees yet?
What we decided to do is we are gonna open it up to resumes being sent in.
Okay.
We want them in by January 6th at noon.
Okay.
And we're gonna expedite it through, hopefully pick a few out and interview that week. And we're hoping to have a person to bring to the board on the 13th, our board meeting, to nominate to fill the position.
Excellent.
That's-
And my apologies, if you think I'm running late, just call me. I honestly wrote it down wrong. I wrote it at 4:30.
I don't wanna tell you what the girl said,
And I
so.
can-
I'll tell you what we said. We said, we'll be done by the time he gets here.
It's the second time I've done that in the last quarter.
So do you have any, seriously, if you have any comment about that, feel free to say something.
No, I think I'm glad we're fast tracking it. I think that's great.
And we only have 45 days by law, or we are forced to have
Or
an
the
election
county has
for
an
it.
election.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not
wow.
a great expense on that.
Yeah.
Did not,
Yeah.
That's why I voted no. We don't want to do an election.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Not for
awesome. Awesome.
2 people over the years have come to me about it, so I'll get a hold of them and see. if
Yeah,
they still
I
have
tell
interest.
anybody if there was somebody to reach out to them for sure.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Jonah, did you offer or did you put in the parameters of, requirements for the nominee for Gina's spot? Like, they have to be part of the township?
I did,
Is that in there?
yes.
Okay.
yes. Yep, that is in there already. So.
I do have a question, because I think I've only been through this one other time. Do we put this out in Dave's paper?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
We do.
It's actually, we're doing 2 weeks. Putting it in
Yeah,
for
we're
2
gonna run it
weeks.
for 2 weeks.
I'll P1 it for you too.
What?
I'll P1 it for you too.
I don't know what that means.
I'll put it on the top.
Page.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, nice.
Gina
That's a
was,
good idea.
Gina was a big, worked with the community a long time. I worked with her on the school board back 2008 or somewhere in there. She was on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Back in the BGYA, she was part of that too.
Sure.
She replaced Case and
Yeah. Yeah, she'll be missed.
in 99.
I will miss her.
All right. If there's anything else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'm not going to say.
I was hoping you would.
Hearing no further public comment, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?